All right, welcome. This is the September meeting of the Ttcda meeting. I do want to. We have a new commissioner with us here today, Mr. Tim Wilson. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. Appreciate that. We do have a declaration of quorum. First up, and then second, the approval of the meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion, and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right. So first application for certificate of appropriateness is Gary Hayes Neon Service Company Incorporated, 9-A-23-TOS. Michelle, if you can give us a staff update, please.
Absolutely. So this is a signage permit. It's a request for a sign on a multi-tenant office building in the Pellissippi Point 4 office complex. It's located in the corner of, in the corner of Dutchtown Road and Cogdale Road. It's currently zoned CH1. It's obviously in the technology overlay. It's next door to some office park. That's typically the prevalent uses in the area. The proposed sign is for Geneva Hospice. It would be located on the opposite corner of the building. There's currently an existing tenant who has a sign on the frontage on the other side of the building. So they're using only the sign letters as part of the calculation, and that equates to 11.896 square feet, which is within the maximum that's allowed with both signs combined. This is a look at what the building would look like with both signs. You've got Denton here and Geneva here, and the combined total of those is 39.39 square feet, which is well within the 100 square feet maximum that they're allowed, and we're recommending approval. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm not sure if the applicant is present. Yes, the applicant is present.
All right, do we have any questions, comments? Anything from the applicant? Any questions for staff? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve per staff recommendation.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 2, Pat Bowles, Sign Co. Incorporated, 9-B-23-TOS. Can we get a staff report, please?
Yes, this is a sign permit in the CA General Business District, and it's on the northwest quadrant of the intersection of Charlevoix Road and Hardin Valley Road. The proposed building sign includes the business name for Southern Valley Boutique. The sign will be located above the awning on the front of the business facade for identification. This is the current street view. The new sign consists of internally illuminated channel letters mounted to the building via a raceway. The letters are 5-inch deep channel letters. Southern Valley is black trim cap, black returns with a matte finish. Boutique is white LED with a black border and matte finish. And the sign comprises an area of 20 square feet, which is within the limits allowed for this business based on the 20 feet of building frontage. Kind of ignore the white lettering and see at the top there's another dimensions with 20 feet on there. The sign is similar in size and location and materials to the others in the strip center. And we are recommending approval. Oops.
All right, any questions for staff? Is the applicant present? Discussion and questions? Entertaining a motion for approval.
Motion to approve per staff recommendation.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3, Randall J. Sparks, 9-A-23-TOR. If we could get a staff update, please.
So this is a request for rezoning to the planned residential up to 3.5 dwelling units per acre on a 0.94 acre site, so just up under 1 acre. It's east of Pellissippi Parkway and north of Rather Road. The subject property is currently zoned agricultural and technology overlay. The request is for, so we're looking at the conformity of the proposed rezoning with the Ttcda comprehensive development plan and other plans affecting the development within the technology overlay. So when reviewing the general plan, the proposed rezoning to the RA low density aligns with section 9.3 of the general plan, which ensures that the context of the new development, including scale and compatibility, does not impact the existing neighborhoods and communities. And looking at our future land use map, this is the Northwest County Sector Plan. The proposed RA district is consistent with the Northwest County Sector Plan Mixed Use Special District, the NWCO 7, and which recommends office and medium density residential land use classifications in the area that is specifically adjacent to George Light Road. So staff believes that RA is more appropriate in this location than the requested PR zone, as the PR zone is intended for large acreage sites with environmental constraints to allow for dense cluster development. This property is less than 1 acre, and it's 40,510 square feet, with only 5,300 square feet within the hillside protection area. The slope analysis identifies a disturbance limit of 75% of the hillside area. There doesn't appear to be any other topographic issues on this property. Additionally, the PR zone has a 35-foot peripheral boundary, which can create development constraints on smaller lots. In the RA zone, the minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet if sewer is not provided. The RA zone allows single-family residential dwellings, duplexes, and garage apartments on the same lot as a house, with a use on review approval from the Planning Commission. Built at a maximum capacity, this property could be developed with up to 4 dwelling units, or 3.76 dwelling units an acre. The Hardin Valley Mobility Plan was created in 2019 to address growth in this area. And George Light Road, which is a local road, has implemented the Right In, Right Out Safety Measure Project, which is George Wright Road at Pellissippi. And this was to improve the safety for the existing and growing community. When looking at the need and justification for rezoning, the proposed RA zoning would serve as a minor extension of the RA zone to the south of the subject property. There are several individual properties and subdivisions in the area that have been developed under the RA zoning. And when we're looking at the effect of the proposed rezoning for the surrounding area, the lot sizes allowed in RA are similar to those in the existing neighborhood. So the subject property would likely be developed with lot sizes and residential uses that are already in this area. In the area surrounding here has seen a moderate transition from agricultural to residential land use via rezonings from RA and PR since the late 1980s.
All right, thank you for the report. Any questions, comments?
Is the applicant present?
Is the applicant present? I believe so.
Planning, what is the intention? Are they wanting to build 3 houses or?
Yes, 3 houses. They're not on sewer right now, so with the RA zone, they'd only be able to develop on 20,000 square foot lots. So they've got 40,000 square feet. They could do 2 houses, or they could do like 1 house with a garage apartment on each lot. So they could get up to 4 dwelling units.
Are they okay with the RA? Do they understand why we're suggesting
they do
RA
want-
versus PR?
They want 3 houses, so they're going to be at Planning Commission on Thursday.
In PR zone with no sewer, what's minimum lot size?
They don't specify, so there wouldn't be a minimum lot size.
Yeah, the PR zone doesn't specify lot size. It just allows various according to however you need to cluster your development around whatever topography and constraints you have on the site.
I'd like to make a motion to approve per staff recommendation of the RA low density residential district because it's consistent with the sector plan and consistent with the surrounding development.
Motion for approval. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 4, Hardin Valley Internal Medical Clinic, 9-A-23-TOB. Get a staff report, please.
This is for a building permit in the CA General Business and Technology Overlay Zone. It's the northwest quadrant of the intersection of Charlie Way and Hardin Valley Road. So this is a request for a 642 square foot expansion for the existing medical clinic previously approved by this board in 2017. The current building is approximately 3,000 square feet and is a standalone building in the parking lot of a retail strip center. The expansion the building setbacks adhere to either the CA zone or the Ttcda guidelines, whichever is more stringent. In this case, the building has frontage on Pellissippi Parkway and Hardin Valley Road, along with parking in the front. So because of the parking in the front, the Ttcda guidelines require a 60-foot front setback line, and the site plan proposes a front setback of 44.66 feet on the Pellissippi Parkway frontage. So the applicant has requested a waiver citing topography, existing parking, and the existing building geometry. The proposed plans are removing almost all the parking along Pellissippi except for a couple of spaces. And if there wasn't parking in the front, the minimum setback would only be 20 feet. And additionally, the new landscaping, drive aisle, and sidewalk connections will enhance the circulation and aesthetic of the parking lot. So the site will include a new 2-way drive aisle for vehicle circulation and connectivity around the existing parking area, and new sidewalk connections to maintain service from the parking areas to the building entrances. The Ttcda guidelines would typically allow between 9 and 14 spaces. However, the applicant's requesting a waiver to increase the parking lot to 39, which was approved in 2017. So the proposed plans would actually reduce the 39 spaces to 33, which is still within the waiver that was granted. Therefore, a new waiver for the overage is not needed. The original project also obtained a waiver to increase the impervious area ratio from 70 to 74.7%. And this proposed new extension will increase the existing impervious area from 74.7% to 76.3%, which is less than 2% overall. So the team and client, they wish to pursue this waiver based on the existing site constraints, and staff will support this because it's just a minor increase, and it helps with the parking demand that's at this location. The building's exterior siding will include matching of the existing brick, and the proposed landscape plan shows new plantings along the west side of the addition and adheres to all landscape requirements. And the lighting plan will not change. The intention is to relocate the existing lighting onto the new addition. So with the recommended conditions and approval of the waivers, the proposed development conforms to the Ttcda guidelines. So staff recommends approval.
Thank you very much for that report. Questions, comments? Is the applicant here? Please come up and give us your name and your address, please.
Good afternoon. It's Catherine Greer with MHM Architects. And our address is 550 West Main Street, Suite 300.
If you want to tell us a little bit about the project, I live in this area, so I'm always concerned about traffic and also parking spaces in this development. They tend to run short as it is. You'd be losing 9. Is that correct? 9 parking spaces,
I believe. We're going from 39 to 33.
Okay,
So
33.
six spaces. And actually, I mean, I do think that just from a traffic flow perspective, kind of removing some of those spaces that did not have like a direct sidewalk connection actually makes it a little bit safer. That's more of a personal design opinion than like a civil engineering opinion. But I do think that obviously, like, this is a very successful property for the owner. They've done so well that the expansion's actually like going to serve more of the local community. It's an addition of 4 additional exam rooms. So they're really excited about this, and they also wanted to make sure that it aesthetically blended with the existing building. So they are actually going a little bit above and beyond from a design standpoint, with kind of keeping it from just looking like a long linear box. So and as they had previously on staff approval talked about the IAR, the 1.3% is pretty unavoidable with this layout, but I think the same as if they were to expand in other directions, which were topographically challenging from a topography standpoint, and it would keep the parking where it is currently, and you don't have that direct connection to the building. So, any other questions? Thank you.
A motion to approve the waivers and variances requested to reduce the front setback on Pellissippi from 60 to 44.66 feet, and to increase the maximum IAR from the previously approved waiver of 74.7% to 76%, as well as approving the certificate of appropriateness subject to 3 conditions.
Second.
So we've got a motion. Based on that motion, reading it, that's as per staff recommendation.
Correct.
And I have a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 5, Mark Campbell Carter Engineering, 9-B-23-TOB. Staff report, please.
This is a building permit in the planned commercial and technology overlay zone. It's at the southwest corner of Hardin Valley Road and Greenland Way. The proposal is for a new Chick-fil-A restaurant with a drive-through facility on 1.75 acres on Hardin Valley Road. Spring Bluff Way runs along the southern boundary of the property. There will be a one-way drive access on Spring Bluff Way. The proposal, the building is set back 50 feet from Hardin Valley Road. The building setbacks adhere to either the PC zone or the Ttcda guidelines, whichever is more stringent. The building meets the required setbacks, including the 100-foot setback where it abuts multifamily residential on Greenland Way. The parking lot has 72 parking spaces, including 5 compact spaces. This meets the minimum requirement which is 40 spaces, and it's under the maximum, which is 82 spaces. The building is 20 feet tall, 4.5 inches tall, and the facade features light brown and dark brown brick veneer with dark bronze paint. The parking lot also meets the 20-foot landscape buffer requirements along all right-of-ways. The property has no existing vegetation. It's already been graded. The landscape plan is extensive and adheres to all the landscape requirements of the Ttcda. The lighting plan meets all the Ttcda guidelines for lighting intensity, and the light poles have full cutoff with dark bronze non-reflective finishes. Chick-fil-A has 4 building signs and 1 monument sign. They have 3 of the signs that are on the screen right now, and they are 37.71 square feet with red acrylic trim crap and aluminum returns painted to match the brick. The other building sign is the square-shaped logo. It's 36 square feet and cardinal red vinyl. The building has 3 frontages along Hardin Valley, Greenland Way, and Spring Bluff, which allows each of the building sign of a maximum of 100 square feet. So in total, they can have up to 300 square feet, and they are under that amount at 149. The final sign is this monument sign, which is 50 square feet on each side, which is within the limits. The base masonry will match the building. This rectangular sign is Chick-fil-A, and it's internally illuminated with white LED lights. The finish for all the signs are satin, and staff supports the finish as it's not glossy or reflective. Staff is recommending approval of the request, subject to 5 conditions. The first one is obtaining Planning Commission approval of the development plan associated with this case. And 2, coordination and partnership with the County Engineering and Public Works to ensure the anticipated increases in traffic are mitigated, installation of all the landscaping as shown on the plan, and meeting all the applicable requirements of the County Department of Engineering and Public Works, and meeting all the applicable zoning, all the requirements of the zoning ordinance.
All right. Thank you very much for the report. Any questions, comments for staff? All right. Is the applicant present?
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Campbell. I'm with Carter Engineering. My address is 1010 Commerce Drive in Bogart, Georgia. And I just appreciate the work staff has done. I think I first reached out to Michelle back in April about this project. We're really excited about the development of this pad graded lot. We've worked with staff through this process to try to avoid any waivers at this point. So I think we've got a great building, a great sign location. I'm really looking forward to developing this, but I understand you may have questions, so certainly happy to answer any of those as you might have.
So I do have one question. Just on here, talking about the coordination partnership with county public works to ensure anticipated increase in traffic mitigation. What generally have you guys talked about?
So if it's possible, I don't know if we can go back to the site plan. So I understand that Hardin Valley Road is a heavily traveled road. Right? I've done another project on that road. It seems like it wasn't that many years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and that road's changed drastically in the last 5 years. I will tell you, when we first started working on the site, we actually had a driveway on Greenland Way. And working through with the traffic engineer on this project, his name's Steve Meyer. He does a great job, a lot of traffic engineering. I think at one point in time he was the traffic engineer for Hamilton County down near Chattanooga. So he's really helped us a lot through this project. A driveway on Greenland Way became problematic. So we actually learned through some of the history of this project, some of the plats that recorded for part of what is known as the village at Hardin Valley. It was a request to have this driveway access via Spring Bluff Way, which was great because it got us further away from that signal at Hardin Valley. The last thing Chick-fil-A wants to do is negatively impact any public roadways, negatively impact any neighbors. So my responsibility as a civil engineer is to design a site where we can stack the most number of cars on the site and not off the site. So the site plan that you see there, the upper right-hand corner of the site there would be what we would consider the meal delivery point. And so we've bifurcated the double stack drive-through lane so that when you come in, you can decide, am I going to the drive-through, or am I going inside to dine or spend time with my family or whatever that might be, and you really make a decision to bifurcate. It may be hard to see on that plan near the very top, near where Hardin Valley Way is, it says 438 feet. That means that each of those two lanes is 438 feet long. That means by the time you get to the end of the 10 parking spaces that are on Greenland Way, you've got almost 900 feet of stacking, which we used to never do, right? 5-6 years ago, the way you designed a drive-through restaurant was you put the drive-through building in the center of the restaurant, you stacked your drive-through around, you put all the parking on the perimeter. And that works until it doesn't work. So this is the latest and greatest design regarding all the things we've learned just in the past few years about drive-through efficiency and drive-through design. So we've done everything we can to mitigate it at this point, but there may still be some additional mitigation. I think Knox County understands there may be some changes to the timing at that signal. There may be some future improvements along Hardin Valley Way. Again, we don't have a driveway on Hardin Valley Way. As a civil engineer, I think that would be a horrible idea if we tried to do that. So we tried to create as much separation there as we can. There may be some other things as it relates to striping or some of those other types of things as part of the traffic engineer's recommendation. But part of that mitigation is really just what can we do to make sure that Chick-fil-A doesn't negatively impact the traffic that's already there. And hopefully I wasn't too long-winded or too roundabout, but hopefully that helped explain where we are and how we got there today. So.
Could y'all put it on slide number 24? I think it really demonstrates the work that's gone into this traffic pattern. I've been hearing about this project, or the anticipation of this project, for over a year, and I reached out to our director of engineering, Jim Snowden. Because I live in the Hardin Valley area, and so when we heard rumblings about you all coming, I immediately reached out to him and said, okay, I need you to start thinking about this now, because this community has been dying for Chick-fil-A for as long as I've lived there. And so I just want to say, I think I've done a really great job, because mitigating that traffic is the number one concern in that community. And it was actually my biggest concern. I'm excited for you all to be here, but I was really concerned. So one question I had was, thank you for putting the entrance on Spring Bluff Way. There seems to be some landscaping, like two kind of island landscape. See those two at the bottom? Those two. Is that, so will the traffic go around those two landscaped kind of pods?
That's correct. Yes, you're exactly correct.
Just know there's a lot of teenage drivers there who will visit this Chick-fil-A, and I'm wondering if those potentially could be altered a little bit, unless they're there to kind of, as a traffic calming, make people slow down and be more aware.
We do have to make some meet some landscaping requirements. So we don't want striping at the end of a row of parking. We want a landscaped island at the end of that parking to provide that barrier. Because of the nature of a drive-through, which is one-way traffic, we like one-way traffic flow. And the benefit of one-way traffic flow is it really doesn't give you a lot of decisions to make. You're not stopping and thinking, do I go right or do I go? You're following that traffic. So if you'll see, it's one-way traffic flow, and then if you look to where the number 5 is there, nobody's going to be coming south towards Spring Bluff Way at that point. That traffic flow will be north, and then we'll traverse to your left, which is west if you're facing the plan, and then come back around. So we do have to have those landscape islands there. It does have a benefit of traffic calming, but we're trying not to have too many cars going in too many different directions. The idea is that everybody comes in and kind of moves. And what I look at the world from an aerial view, right? A lot of times looking down on plans. So the traffic pattern here would be, kind of in a counterclockwise motion.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
The only thing I was going to say is that this is coming through Planning Commission on Thursday. I do have some more specific conditions in the development plan that might explain the traffic mitigation. This report was due sooner, so it kind of was a little more generalized. But they are going to partner with the county to implement improvements on Hardin Valley Road by providing funding commensurate to increase the pre- and post-construction eastbound and westbound queuing links for the right and left turning movements onto Greenland Way. And the details regarding the shared costs will be determined during the permitting process.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else here to speak? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve per staff recommendation, subject to 5 conditions.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. All right. And I'm going to turn it over to Michelle and let her take us through the administrative approvals.
Thank you. So there were 2 administrative approvals this month. Both were minor in scope. The first was a self-storage facility located on Dutchtown Road, also at the corner of Dutchtown and Cogdill. A lot going on there this month. You all first saw this last year in spring. It was originally approved in April, and they came through in October with a couple of more revisions, and now they're coming through again. So the site is currently under construction. What they're wanting to do is to just remove part of the fencing. So this is in the city. It's CH1. It's one of the rare city cases we see in Ttcda. You can see this black line here that denotes where the new fence is proposed to be. So mostly around this area here, which is kind of protection against the topography that kind of slopes down, and a little bit along this parking area here. And then looking at the proposed fence, you can see the line with the X that comes through intermittently. That's the original fence, which kind of goes all the way around the building. Actually, let me turn on my laser pointer so you can. So this is the original fence located here, kind of goes around the entire site. Whereas in this image, it's just around this corner here. So there's not a requirement for fencing to be located around the entire site for interior storage units. It's only for exterior. So it still meets the Ttcda guidelines, required no waivers, did not make any changes to the building. So we originally, so we administratively approved this one. They got their COA and they're good to go for this. Any questions on that one? So the next one was 10542 Murdoch Drive. This one was for Harper Auto Collision Center. It's located on Murdoch Drive. It is zoned, it's got bifurcated zoning, BP and TO along the front at Murdoch and PCTO towards the rear. You have to cross the creek to get to this PC portion. So they're really limiting their development to this top area here, which you can kind of see in the aerial view. They've started grading, so it's concentrated to this area here. So you all saw this one last spring as well. This is the original site plan, this is the original site plan here. They're mostly just changing some minor things on the elevations and then also the landscaping. So the original plan here on the left, so again, this is some fencing that kind of goes around the perimeter of the site. So the landscaping followed the Ttcda guidelines and put it around the perimeter of the building. This one is actually moving it to outside the fence. And we feel like that meets the intent of the zoning ordinance probably a little bit better because it is still the foundation of a structure that's there and it's going to be more visible from the street and from adjacent properties than it would be here. There's a gate located here, so all of this landscaping, none of it really would have been visible. So we feel like this is an improvement. The landscaping along the front of the building remains intact, as does the berm at the very front. Proposed changes to the elevation, so they are just kind of rearranging a few things. So the main entry kind of moved over by one bay. The configuration slightly changes, so you go from metal siding to brick along here. The window pattern changes a little bit. So on the bottom is going to be the previously approved plans. Over the next few slides, the top is the revised. So we do have a blank wall over on this side. However, when you look back at the landscaping plans, you can see some trees that are planted there. It's not a prohibited thing to have the flat facade. It is just one of those things that's strongly encouraged not to do. And this board historically has allowed trees to kind of break up the facade instead of actual architectural features. So we feel like that still meets the intent of the guidelines. The rest of the facades actually got better. They improved in terms of the amount of detail. So this is the rear elevation. You can see here it's a blank facade along the back. Now there's a few more doors, garage bay. There's some different materials and things like that. And granted, it's the rear of the site and no one's really going to see it. It's heavily wooded. There's a creek back there, but this is what they're proposing. Side elevation facing east. This is, again, previously approved on the bottom. So they've got a little bit more delineation going on. There's some more awnings. The doors, really, there's just introducing a few. So minor improvements in terms of breaking up that facade. And then facing west, kind of the same thing. But again, these are going to be behind fences, so not really very visible from the street. And so because they didn't need any waivers, it still meets the guidelines. We administratively approved this one as well last week.
All right, thank you very much. Not having any other business for this month's meeting, we are adjourned. Thank you.